Okay, this is Kyle Walker. I'm just doing my Game 3D assignment. So I'm starting in the header file, game3d.h. If and def and define just kind of is for the compiler. I think it checks to make sure it's only read everything once. If not, it puts a token in there that says it's already done it. Include the array, so we're going to be using arrays in this assignment. This is the namespace Game 3D. I think this is like the equivalent of a class in Java, where this stuff applies to everything that's in Game 3D, and then you can reference that from outside of it. And I think it becomes useful when you're using multiple namespaces and having a bunch of people work on one project. So our constants are up here: kmax points, 10, radius, dimensions. We'll be using them in these functions. This is just a distance function between point A and point B. It returns a double. The parameters are double A, double B. If there's no second parameter, it's just set to 0, like suggesting you're leaving from the starting location. This returns a double. It's total walking distance of the parameters, a constant array of doubles. Size kmax points, and we're referencing that to locations temporarily. This is safe to travel is a boolean. It returns a boolean. Parameters are 0.1 and 0.2, and same as before. If it's left empty, that means it's 0 for the source. So it returns true or false. This one doesn't return anything, but it's a safe to travel message, so it's going to print out a message based on the status of whatever this parameter is, the boolean. So we're going to do the status of safe to travel there, and if it's whether or not it's safe to travel, that's going to print a message. This one's returns a double called total safe walking distance. Parameter is an array of 10, size 10 with doubles, and we're again temporarily referencing locations, or referencing it with locations. It's like a temporary holder for it. This returns a double. It's a same distance overloaded with different parameters. So this one's taking two arrays as parameters, A and B, and each one has is a size 3. And this again leaves it to each of these to 0 if the second one isn't filled in. The last one we have is returns a double. It's called total walking distance. It's a constant with two multi-dimensional arrays. So it's an array with an array of arrays. One of the arrays is 3, and one of them is 10. So it's an array of within array. Each array, or each point in the array, is 3 points on the other array, and we're referencing that with locations. So then we'll go to our .cpp. This is where our implementation file, just the logic. So we're including Game 3D, the header file, using arrays. CMath is for power and square root function. IO main IP, this is formatted input, and IO stream. So let's see. Since I already explained the functions and what they return, I'll just explain the logic. It just takes absolute value of point A minus point B, so that way it doesn't matter which number is higher or lower or whatever. It just takes the distance between and sets it to a variable of distance, and a fixed set precision of 2, so 2 decimal points. Oh, and the way we reference the Game 3D is by saying Game 3D before any of these functions we're using. That's how it knows that what they are and what they that they've been defined. So yeah, and then that just prints out the distance between those 2 points. Total walking distance. It's just takes that array, and it iterates through all of the points in there and calculates the distance from one array to the next point in line, and then it'll take the distance from this point with the next one, and then it returns the total distance between all the points. K-safe radius is if the distance between point 1 and 2 is greater than 12, then it returns true, and if not, then it's false because it's too close. It means it's not safe. With safe to travel message, yeah, the parameters that status of safe to travel. So if it's true or false, if it's true, it says yes, you're in the safe zone. If it's false, it says no, stay put. Total safe walking distance of this array, it takes referenced at locations. So yeah, it takes the or placed in locations temporarily. It takes the array of 10, basically just iterates through every point and only adds. That's what it is. If I put this false first, this is if it's not safe, then it just tells you it's not safe, and it doesn't add anything because you're not adding you're only adding up the safe distances. And then if it isn't not safe, then that means it is safe. So then you do add the total of the distance between those 2 points and move on to the next round of the loop. This is our 2 parameters of arrays, so of k dimensions, 3 dimensions. So this is we're taking 3 3D points is what it is, and or no, it's 3 points with oh yeah, that's what it is. Okay, so I was just confused at the power. I was thinking I put another value in there for a point, but this is just to the power of 2. So that's what the power, you put the power of 2 at after your 2 numbers that you want to do, if it's just 1, and then that's embedded within the square root function. So you're going to do the square root of basically x1 or x2 minus x1 square root, but the power has to be first because you're doing that each of those to the power of 2. Yeah, it's hard to explain, but I know you know what I'm talking about. So then we again set that precision to 2 decimal points, and tell you how far apart that happens to be 2 bad guys. I think that we're calculating how far apart they are in 3-dimensional space. And then the last one is our array of array. So that's just going to go through basically all those points, the total distance, and it's not going to subtract anything or anything like that over all elements. So now our main, this is this is where our driver is. So we're just using this one to demonstrate the distance with these 2 points here. Again, game 3D stdc out is what we're using for each of the IOStream commands. Game 3D for any of the functions again. So and this second one, distance 0.1, it doesn't have a second point, so that's the origin, the source. So now we're just calculating for 10 points. And we made an array here with it's a size 10 and we're naming it locations 1D. So this is 1-dimensional array, and then we're just basically demonstrating the logic that we were using in the function. So then we're saving the total distance to the total walking distance between these locations, and then printing that out. This one is basically just demonstrating the safe to travel message logic, where it takes the boolean of these points, or whether or not they're k-max distance, and true or false, setting it to the safe to travel message, and then telling you whether or not it's safe to travel. And then this part's where it adds the total walking distance to the safe to travel message, and not the not safe to travel message. So this is the part where we are doing two arrays of size 3. So those 2 points, the enemy locations, we're just going to calculate the distance between them and save it to the enemy distance. Oh, and then so it demonstrates that with the 2 points, and then what happens when you leave the 3 open from the origin. So then the last one is calculating the distance for the for 10 3D points. So each of these points has an X, Y, Z, and we're saving that to locations. So this is how we set that up with K dimensions, K max points. So this each one of these has 3, 1, 2, 3 points. Each one of the points, or each one of the points in K max points has 3 dimensions. And so then we're taking our total walking distance between all of these points and saving it to the total distance and printing it out. And then we're done.